This tutorial is made for producers, filmmakers, and directors who are not interested in the technical side of AI filmmaking. It focuses on how film production needs to be reorganized and reimagined to adapt to a fully AI-driven process, from pre-production to post-production. We're starting from the point where the script is already finished, and it's time to begin pre-production. Just like in any traditional film production, the first step is casting. Today, the process of generating images takes only a few seconds. If the director or producer is in a decisive mood, a final choice can be made in just 3 to 4 hours. At this stage, the director, producer, and artist should sit together to generate multiple images based on the creative vision. There are two main approaches. You can generate a large set of images first and later let the director select the preferred one from the batch. Or you can generate and decide in real time, allowing the director to steer or adjust the process as the images appear. In larger productions, assistants can help by filtering and making preliminary selections, while the director makes the final creative choice from the refined set. Once a final character design has been chosen, the next step is to create multiple poses of that character, similar to a character sheet in animation. These poses show the character in different positions and expressions, helping the team understand how they will look and move on screen. At this stage, it's crucial that the script has been carefully reviewed. All props, such as a weapon mentioned in the script, must be reviewed, approved, and selected by the director. This way, every element can later be reused or referenced during production. Step 3. Creating the LoRa and integrating character embeddings. It's a technical process used to ensure that your character's appearance remains consistent across all scenes and renders. Since this step involves more technical details, we won't go into it here. If you'd like to learn more about how LoRa works, you can simply search for LoRa AI model online. Another way to create a character, depending on what kind of character you need, whether it's a person or any object, is by using reference images. For example, once the actor has been selected, the VFX department will take multiple reference photos of the performer. These images are then used to train a LoRa model, allowing the digital version of the actor to be placed consistently in any scene or environment. Of course, this method is easier and more precise because the AI is based on a real person's features. However, it also means that the actor or actress must be treated as a professional performer with proper contracts, rights, and payment agreements in place. The next step is location scouting, finding or creating the right environment for your scene. Just like with characters, there are two main approaches, with or without reference images. If we're working without reference images, we use the text-to-image method. And remember, a script is essentially a large prompt. Every line of the script will be interpreted as a text instruction that the director visualizes through the camera. In this case, the team, usually the artist, cinematographer, and director, work side by side to generate multiple location images based on the script. Each image represents a different interpretation of the scene, and the director decides which one best matches the story's vision. Once a base image is selected, the artist and cinematographer refine it further, experimenting with different lighting setups to match the desired mood and atmosphere. When the cinematographer is satisfied, that scene setup is finalized, and the material can then be used for LoRa training if required. Another option at this stage is to create 360-degree environments, allowing the camera to move freely within the space. However, there's an even more advanced method for generating realistic environments, and we'll explore that in the next section. Now, we move from pre-production to production, the stage where your film truly comes to life. Everything we've covered so far, casting, location discovery, character creation, belongs to pre-production. This next step is where we start generating images and videos, bringing all those ideas onto the virtual set. Just like in traditional animation, storyboarding is essential. Every single scene, even the quiet dialogue moments, should first be visualized as images. Only once those images are ready can they be transformed into video sequences. The rule is simple. The less text interpretation, the more creative control. That's why most professionals work with image-to-video or even better, video-to-video methods. Once your environments are built and approved by the director, the actors can be placed into those settings. The most powerful and precise method for this is the video-to-video approach. The scene is first filmed using the same camera setup the director plans to use in the final AI film. It can be recorded with real performers. They don't need to be professional stars, just people who can act naturally and express emotion. What's great about this method is that you can enhance or reduce emotions later. With this setup, the entire film can be shot in a single room or small studio, while the VFX department transforms the footage into any environment imaginable. And although it's technically possible to adjust the camera angle afterward, it's always best to film with the same camera setup and composition you plan to use in the final AI-generated version. Step 6. Camera control and the new Gaussian splatting method. One of the biggest challenges in AI film production used to be camera movement, how to move the camera freely within a generated scene, but that problem has now been completely solved. Today, there are several methods that allow you to control the camera naturally and precisely inside a 3D environment. The first approach works by interpreting the camera through text. For example, you can describe the shot in words, close-up, wide angle, or tracking shot. However, the downside of this method is that the camera is still controlled by text, which means you don't have full manual precision. A much more advanced and now widely used technique is called Gaussian splatting. This method allows complete freedom and accuracy in moving the camera anywhere you want within the scene, just like in a real film set. With Gaussian splatting, you can easily position the camera for low-angle shots, high-angle shots, or any other perspective you imagine. And once the camera setup is finalized, the VFX department can seamlessly place the characters anywhere in the scene, matching them perfectly to the camera's position and movement. Step 7. Post-production and final assembly. The final stage of production is post-production. Here, not much changes in principle, but in AI-based filmmaking, the VFX department works very closely with the editing coordination team. That's because the production process itself essentially moves into the VFX department. They are the ones who now deliver the video footage, in constant collaboration with the editing coordinator, who communicates directly with the editor to exchange and refine scenes. And that's how an AI-based film production comes together. It's important to note that this is not the only method to create an AI film, but it's one of the most effective pipelines. Based on my experience as a visual effects artist and built on years of practice in both the film and animation industries. Of course, there are many creative people entering this new field who come from outside traditional filmmaking. They might discover new and better ways to approach production. One final note: the scale of a production isn't defined by flashy visuals or massive sets. It's defined by the length and complexity of the story and the creative decisions involved. Depending on the size of your project, a small or mid-sized production usually requires 2 to 7 artists to complete the entire process. For a large-scale production, like an 8 or 10 episode series, the team will naturally grow.
Thank you for watching this video. If you have a question, please write me. I will be glad to answer your question. Have a nice day and bye-bye.